Am I the jerk for breaking up with my girlfriend after a prenatal test confirmed I'm not the father? Update. Original post. I'm 27, and I had been in a relationship with my girlfriend, 25, for almost 5 years. We loved each other, but last year, we decided to take a break to fix our relationship. We didn't set any boundaries during this period, and we could do whatever we wanted as if we were single. We took a break for a couple of months, and it was necessary to reset our relationship. A week after we got back together, my girlfriend started showing signs of pregnancy. She took a home test, which confirmed that she was pregnant. We were both thrilled and happy. A few months later, I was already planning to propose and even bought an engagement ring. But I wanted to be sure I was the father before proposing, so I decided to get a prenatal paternity test. Both my girlfriend and I wanted to do the NIPP test to confirm that I was the father. My girlfriend mentioned that she had slept with someone during our break, so there was a small chance I wasn't the father, but we were both pretty sure the baby was mine. A couple of weeks later, we got the results, and I wasn't the father. I was incredibly upset and devastated, and my girlfriend was also very distressed. It was extremely painful for me, and I couldn't emotionally handle it. A week later, I broke up with her. The breakup was traumatic for both of us. I told her that I simply didn't want to be the father of this child, and if possible, she should try to find the biological father and inform him. I then helped her move back to her parents. Am I the jerk? Top comments before the update. Taking a break to fix a relationship is probably the dumbest idea I've ever heard. How did their set go? Seems like she got recharged from a different device. Got a data transfer from 23 chromosomes. To revive our relationship, we decided to take a break. Where do all these idiots come from? This is the dumbest crap I've ever read. It's equivalent to, my partner wants to sleep with other people to spice up our relationship. I've seen people do this in my life. Almost always. One person sleeps with a bunch of people during the break, and the other doesn't even realize that the break was so it wouldn't be considered cheating. Update. Just a brief update, as some people in the comments were wondering if my ex knows who the biological father is. Last night, I called my ex and asked her if she had found the biological father. She said no, that she only knew his first name, but she didn't have his number or any social media info. They met at a bar, and it was basically a one-night stand. I asked her how her parents reacted, and unfortunately, they didn't take it well, and have been giving her a hard time. Her parents loved me, and didn't even know we had broken up during that time. My ex was in emotional distress when I called her last night, and I felt really bad. I truly wanted this child to be mine. We had dreamed of spending our lives together, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. I told her that this was the last time I'd be calling, and wished her the best in the future. She cried heavily at the end, and it broke my heart to hang up the phone. Comments. Yeah, I remember when I wanted to spend my whole life with someone. Weird how the decision to take a no-rules break, to have a random one-night stand, didn't quite align with those life goals. I don't understand these dumb breaks. It's just an excuse to sleep with other people. Better to just break up. For those in denial that their relationship is over, a break is just an excuse. The original poster said he was going to propose. If you need to take a break to fix your relationship, marriage is a bad idea. I met an old friend of my wife's, Amalia. She offered to read my palm since she's part gypsy. Strange. I work in construction and know a few people from that community, and they call themselves gypsies. Anyway, Amalia only comes to town from time to time. She lives in Houston and has an exciting life. She designs costumes for plays and cosplayers. So over the last 2 years, we've only seen her 5 times. The last time she visited was on Labor Day last year, and that's when things got weird. Suddenly, my wife, Sophia, started acting strange. She began showing up at my work, checking what I was doing when I stayed late, asking for my phone because hers was dead, things like that. Eventually, she accused me of cheating on her. I thought it was a joke and laughed, saying that wasn't true. That set her off like a firework, because Amalia told her I would laugh when Sophia confronted me with the truth. I laughed, because it was absurd. I barely had enough time for a relationship with my wife due to work. I'm home every weekend. When I play golf, her brother almost always plays in my group or is at the club. And most importantly, I love my wife and would never betray her. But despite all this, she believed Amalia, the psychic costume designer, more than me. She asked me to leave our apartment. I refused since I had nowhere to go, so she left and moved back in with her parents. Even they think she's lost it. For the next few months, I worked and tried to convince her that I hadn't cheated and wanted her to come back home. I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving because it would have been awkward. I didn't even stay for Christmas. I went to visit my family. They watched this absurd situation unfold without saying much until they staged an intervention on Christmas. They said my wife had lost touch with reality and wouldn't return to it. My dad told me to get a grip. He only says that when I'm making a massive mistake. When I got back, I went to a lawyer and started the divorce process. That was in February. Finally, in early May, Sophia called me to talk. I told her we needed to communicate through our lawyers. She started crying, and I agreed to meet her in public if she allowed me to record the conversation so I could share it with my lawyer. She agreed. It turned out her parents had hired a private investigator to find proof of my infidelity. 5 months of investigation and a huge bill. No proof of cheating. Finally, she believed me and wanted to come back home. I told her our lease ends in July and that I had already found a job in Austin near my family. She said she'd come with me, but I politely refused. I told her we're just not right for each other. The truth is, I don't want my kids sharing DNA with this crazy person. Anyway, I'm moving forward with the divorce. I'm glad I am. She chose her friend's psychic vibes over my word. Her family has reached out to me several times with offers. Most recently, her father offered to cover 25% of a down payment on a house if I agreed to go to family therapy instead of divorcing. I politely declined. I can't be bought. Sophia is now depressed, but I don't see any way I could ever trust her again. She's young enough to remarry and ruin some other guy's life. Am I the jerk? Now for the comments. This crazy person couldn't have described her better. You're definitely not the jerk. Having kids with idiots should really be a deal breaker for more people. It doesn't matter how attractive they are, or how good everything else is if there's that one but. If you're going to have kids, don't pick a random breeding partner. Child-free folks. Take all the idiots you want. Enjoy your life. Be awesome. But if you're planning on having kids, idiots need to be on the deal breaker list. You're absolutely not the jerk. The moment she believed the words of some psychic over you, it was over. And the fact that she convinced her parents to hire a private investigator to dig up dirt on your infidelity. That's just the cherry on top. Only after the PI found nothing did she realize you were telling the truth. Honestly, what else will she blindly believe the next time her fortune-telling friend gets a vision? Run, don't walk, away. I would bet her parents hired the PI to snap her back to reality. Yeah, they offered over $100,000 as a down payment on a house to try and persuade the OP to give the marriage another chance. I'd bet money they suggested hiring the PI and gladly paid for it, knowing he'd find nothing and that it would bring her back to the OP. I told my parents that if they kept mentioning their daughter, they'd be dead to me. Did I go too far? My best friend was engaged to my parents' daughter, the girl I once considered my sister. He loved her deeply. She was his first girlfriend and his first love. He was like a brother to me, and to my parents, he was like a second son. They were happy when they started dating, and even happier when they got engaged. But the happiness only lasted a few months, because his fiancée was cheating on him with his brother. When she broke off the engagement, his brother told him everything. Their affair had started even before he proposed to her. My friend didn't handle the news well. What hurt him most was that his fiancée cheated with his brother, not just some random person. He already had a complicated relationship with his brother, and this was another betrayal. He couldn't cope with it, and I believe it ultimately broke him. I blame my sister, and I blame his brother. His brother was rightfully shunned by his family, but my parents continued to stay in touch with their daughter. I already hated my parents' daughter when I found out she had cheated on my friend. But I hated her even more when he took his own life because of it. It's been over a year since he died, and my parents still try to get me to talk to their daughter because she's going through a tough time and needs all the love and support she can get. I told them I don't care what she's going through and that they should leave me alone. They didn't take that well and started arguing with me. I tried to stay calm, but they kept pushing me to talk to her, so I told them that if they kept trying to make me speak to their daughter, they'd be dead to me too. I told them I didn't care what they did with her, but they shouldn't bring her garbage to me, and left it at that. That brought them to tears, and my mom told me she was just trying to fix the family, that my sister made a mistake. But I can't blame her for my friend's death. Comments: does she really feel remorse? Is she still with your friend's brother? Post author's reply: no, they're not together anymore. I suppose she does feel remorse, but forgiveness is something she owes to someone who's already dead, so it's too late. She didn't feel remorse when she lied to her fiancé for months. She didn't feel remorse when she accepted his proposal, knowing full well she was already cheating. She didn't feel remorse when she chose the one person who would hurt him the most to cheat with. She didn't feel remorse when she left him, even though it was all her fault. 1,000 times, she happily lied to his face, planning to continue what she knew would be unbearable for him. She was so selfish that she didn't even bother to end the relationship when her affair started, but instead dragged both men along with her. Even if she feels regret now, her crocodile tears are only for herself. She doesn't deserve a drop of sympathy, and she's already received too much from your parents. Far more than she showed to an innocent man who's now dead. She doesn't deserve another drop of decency from you or anyone else. Cheaters usually only start to feel remorse when they're faced with the consequences. They're not really sorry for what they did. They're sorry they now have to face the mess they've created in front of everyone around them. Your sister didn't make a mistake. She made a choice, and that choice led to consequences. You're not the jerk. She didn't just make one mistake or one choice. It was a series of very bad decisions that she could have stopped at any point. The biggest one was accepting his proposal. I was wrong to demand that my husband return the engagement ring to the store because he's making me pay for it through our joint account. My husband is 33, I'm 29, and we've been married for less than 5 months. We had a huge fight over my engagement ring. We got married a month after he proposed. The wedding was small, and our honeymoon happened right after we signed the paperwork at the courthouse. He gave me a diamond engagement ring that cost almost $9,000. A 2-carat lab diamond. He didn't have the money right away since we were saving up for a house, so he bought the ring on an installment plan. I found out after we got married and combined our finances that he had been taking money from our joint account to pay for this ring. We earn about the same, and I was shocked and, honestly, irritated by the fact that he was making me pay for a gift he gave me. We started arguing, and he claims that the ring is a wedding expense and that it's fair for me to contribute. He also thinks that as a woman in today's world, I should be an equal partner. I was furious and explained my point of view. First of all, you don't make the recipient of a gift pay for that damn gift. In most modern societies, an engagement ring is considered a gift, and I don't care if you agree with that or not. Those are the cultural expectations, and we never discussed if he had an issue with this. Maybe if he had been mature enough, we would have talked about his feelings and figured out if our views on traditions aligned. Second, I've already effectively paid for 2 installments, which makes me part owner of the ring. If I had known my husband would make me pay for this ring, I wouldn't have agreed to buy it. Mutual consent is necessary when a couple decides to invest in shared property, a house or a car. And for that, you need 2 yeses. And I would definitely not have agreed to co-own a ring he was supposed to gift me. Now, looking back, I've decided I never wanted to own it, and I demanded that my husband return the ring to the store if it's such a financial burden for him. To clarify, as I anticipate many people asking this, I've always wanted an engagement ring, and I'm not going to apologize for that. We didn't have a full wedding, and I knew I deserved a beautiful symbol of our love. However, my then fiancé knew my expectations and was upfront about them from the beginning. He could have discussed the situation with me, as I've mentioned, and we could have figured out if our views were compatible. But I didn't know he planned to get back at me by buying the ring on an installment plan and using our money to pay for it. This made him incredibly angry, and he started accusing me of being sexist toward him. I stood my ground, not because I can't afford it, or refuse to financially support my husband or give him expensive gifts, but because his stubbornness about me paying for this drives me crazy. I don't mind spending money on him, but this whole situation has left a very bitter taste in my mouth. He expects me to apologize to him because I called his actions petty and his decisions sneaky and insincere. Am I the jerk? No one's pointing out that $9,000 for a 2-carat lab diamond is insanely expensive. Onto the comments. My first thought too. Do you have separate accounts and a joint account, or just a joint account? Because if you only have a joint account, then technically you'll be partially paying for any gift you receive. From the way this is written, it sounds like they only have a joint account, which is why I'm inclined to think she's the jerk. How does she think her gifts will get paid for if they share one account? After all, he's also putting his money into that account. This is weird to me, because I've been married for 15 years, and a large purchase like that would have required a discussion. I feel like the OP's husband probably took her words about deserving an expensive ring as a directive, and went ahead and bought it. He probably didn't expect her to freak out about paying part of it through their joint account. Yes, I can understand her side if she hadn't said, "I deserve it, and I won't settle for less." But reading that, I immediately felt annoyed. This guy can never win. If he gets her a not-so-expensive gift, he'll be called cheap and lazy. If he takes out a payment plan for a nice gift, he'll be called a liar and a thief. He just needs to run.